All right, you should see me moving the mouse around. W0CHP radio, and then we're going to come down here to Wi-Fi configuration, and then your Wi-Fi name. I'll let you type it. And then if you take and unplug the power from the Skybridge and pull the micro SD card out and put it into the computer, we should get a directory that says boot. And now we've got it on there, so we can eject the drive and put it back into the Skybridge, and it should log onto your home network now.
Let's do this. Guys, welcome back to part 2 of my Skybridge series. Today, we're going to talk to Jeremiah Mulford. He's the tech support manager over at Bridgecom. This started out, it was supposed to be an interview. It went terribly wrong in all accounts. Jeremiah was supposed to call in. We were going to do an interview and talk about Bridgecom support and everything. Right before he called, my Skybridge crashed. I did something, I don't know. I had a problem with it right before he called. I was trying to work on it when he called. We started the interview, and actually the interview turned into a live support call. So I really want to kind of take you through that. The live support and Jeremiah's interview in this one. Oh yeah. The next thing that happened, my mic didn't work. So you can't hear me. I'm going to have to kind of dub in a few of the questions here to make this work. So stand by. Here it is, part 2 of the Skybridge.
Well, my name is Jeremiah Mulford. I am the tech support manager for Bridgecom Systems. Basically, what I do every day is when a customer submits a ticket or has questions about programming the radio or setting up their Skybridge or any kind of technical related questions, I'm the person that they direct the questions to, and I work on getting the answers, getting them set up, and basically helping people to be able to get on the air with DMR. Whether it's an 878 or a 578 by itself, or using the plug and play package, or if they've already got one of the Anytone radios, using the Skybridge as an accessory to their radio to allow them to access the different DMR networks like Grandmeister and TGIF.
All right. Tell us a little bit about Bridgecom, I guess. Why Bridgecom and what's your mission?
Yes. So Bridgecom's mission is to equip as many people with reliable two-way communications as possible through radio, whether it's commercial radio, amateur radio, basically helping people to be able to communicate with each other.
All right, now let's get back to my little problem.
Okay. In that case, since we've already added the WPA supplicant file, it looks like we need to re-image the card itself, because I'm betting that there's something with the card that has gotten corrupted and it's not reading it now. So it's a fairly simple process with us switching over to W0CHP's WPSD software, our own custom image of it. We just have to download the image file for the Skybridge Max, write it to the card, write the Wi-Fi supplicant file we just created to the card, and then let it boot up. And then we just fill in your DMR ID, your Brandmeister network password, and if you're using one of our default code plugs, it'll already be set on 446.550 in the Skybridge. Okay. And that's pretty much the initial setup. You can tweak settings like your location, your longitude, latitude, stuff like that in the Skybridge to customize it a little bit more. But as far as the initial setup goes, it's just a matter of putting in your DMR ID number and your Brandmeister password. for the initial setup. If you want to go ahead and pull the memory card out of the Windows computer real quick and plug your Ethernet cable into your Skybridge and then plug the card back into the Skybridge and then plug the power in, we should be able to see the screen. So this is the screen that everybody will see when they first get their Skybridge if they didn't do a plug and play package. It'll have your IP address up top, then it'll have the date and time, and then the default frequency of 446.550, and then the third box down will say no call / 1234567, and then it'll have the modem board status, which is MMDVM idle. So you'll see on your screen right here that DMRNet is red and service not started is red. So what we need to do is go to the admin screen, and it's going to ask us to sign in, which your default username and password is all lowercase PI-STAR, and then the password is Raspberry, RASP as in Paul, B as in boy, ERRY. All right, so here's our admin screen. And what we're going to do real quick is we're going to go ahead and tell it to update the operating system because there's probably an update already available. So we'll tell it to update, doing the WPSD update. It's going to stop the services that run in the background, and then we should see it say it's grabbing everything. All right, so all the updates are done. It's just restarting the services now. And once we get that, it'll say back to dashboard. We're not going to click back to dashboard at this time. What we're going to do is we're going to click configuration now. It's going to pull up our configuration screen. Okay. So here's the cool thing with WPSD. If you type in your call sign, which is yours is K6UDA, it'll automatically populate your DMR ID. And if you have more than one, it'll actually have a drop down that lets you select it. Then under time zone, we've got our different time zones, which I believe you're in California, so that would be Los Angeles, correct? Okay, so you're in Mountain Time? All right, so that'll be Denver. And then it's really up to you on if you want to get your longitude and latitude right now. You can always do this later. But what they did is they actually came up with a cool little tool here that you click on this. Mm-hmm. It pulls up a new tab in your web browser. It'll ask for your permission to get your geolocation, and then it'll give you your coordinates. So you can just copy and paste them from the other tab. Now, one thing with YSF is sometimes it can grab on the FT5 and the FT3D. Other times it doesn't because it's constantly switching between YSF DMR, YSF DMR, YSF DMR. So you may have to adjust your hang times for it to receive the radio signal. But if you have a TGIF network account, you actually can come in here, set up the ESS ID right here, and then your security key from your user security on TGIF networks login right here, and then just click enable. And when you program in your talk groups for TGIF, you'll have to put a 5 prefix in front of those talk group numbers. So let's say the talk group is 4 digits long on TGIF. You'd have to pad it out to make it 7 digits long. So it'd be a 5, then 2 zeros. So there's 3 plus the 4 digits of the talk group makes it 7 digits long. Now, your general DMR settings right here is where you can set your color code, but it'll always be time slot 2 on the Skybridge. All right. So let's say you and a friend both have hotspot or Skybridges. You're both within, a couple houses of each other, and you don't want any crossover. One of you can set your color code here for 1. The other one can set it for 2. And as long as your radio is programmed correspondingly for 1 for yours and 2 for his, then it'll only key up your hotspot. And then right down here is where your Wi-Fi configuration is. And you'll see there's an access point mode, auto AP. If you don't have an Ethernet cable plugged in and you don't have a Wi-Fi configured, after about 5 minutes, it'll actually generate its own Wi-Fi hotspot named PiStar or PiStar Setup. And you connect your computer to it, then click Configure Wi-Fi here, and it'll actually let you take and scan your available wireless networks, just like this will here, to set up your Wi-Fi. And then when you reboot, it'll connect to that Wi-Fi that you set up.
So what's the difference between Bridgecom and any other PiStar-based hotspot?
So I know there's a lot of different hotspot options on the market. There's some on Amazon. There's some on eBay that people sell. There's some on other suppliers' websites. And the one big difference that we have with ours is the training courses. For people to be able to get the training to know, okay, this does that, this is how I do this is how I do that, and being able to actually know what their Skybridge is capable of and how to take and get everything to function the way that they need it to function within its capabilities. Um, One of the big things is also our support. If you have an issue with your Skybridge and, for whatever reason, during the warranty period, if you get stuck and, you don't know how to reimage the card, or let's say you took the card out because you were trying to put the WPA supplicant file on it, we can do exactly what we're doing with Zoho Assist and log in and assist with reimaging the card remotely and putting the settings back in to get it back up and running. And I've got some tools built into the WPSD software on the Skybridge Max that allows us to actually diagnose if there's an issue with a frequency offset. If something has jumped frequency because, a bad oscillator from a third party radio or an Anytone radio or even in the Skybridge, if there's some kind of issue with an offset, we can take and troubleshoot that remotely and figure out what's going on and work on getting a solution. And, if you've got a plug and play package or you bought the 878 or the 578 and the Skybridge from us, you can send both in and we can hook everything up to the oscilloscope, make sure everything's on frequency as part of the troubleshooting process. That's all covered by the warranty. And, you know, work on getting you on the air. And most of the time, what I find is people have actually went in, added channels to their code plug, which is just the programming file for the radio. They've got it on the wrong time slot for DMR. They'll have it on time slot 1 instead of time slot 2. And the Skybridge, because it's a simplex hotspot, doesn't have a time slot 1 like a duplex would.
So what's the difference between time slot 1 and time slot 2, and why does it make any difference on a hotspot?
In the aspect that you can have a time slot 1 and a time slot 2 and have two different conversations going on at the same time, because they go in a time division multiple access pattern of 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 in milliseconds. So you can have multiple conversations at the same time. With the Skybridge, it's a simplex node, so it allows you to have that one conversation on that one time slot. And in a lot of cases, it's just somebody put time slot 1 instead of time slot 2. And once we change that, everything works.
All right, you've kind of explained what a time slot is, but why are they significant, and why do we need to even care about them?
Think of it as a conference call. Let's say that you have two different conference calls going on that you're supposed to be a part of at the same time.
Okay.
Only one, because the way humans are, only one of them are you going to be able to pay attention to at a time. Even though both of them could be playing at the same time on two different radios, one on time slot 1, one on time slot 2. A conference call, for lack of a better term, kind of like a party line, you'll have one time slot that's signed into one talk group and another time slot that's signed into another.
Okay.
Now, where things get interesting is if you have static talk groups or always on talk groups that are set up on your hotspot. What'll happen is whenever there's traffic on one of those, you won't be able to hear the others at all. So you've got to wait till the traffic dies on the other talk group that's currently active before you can hear any other talk group.
All right, can you explain color codes? What are they and why do we care?
Color codes basically are for if you are in an area that a lot of people are in the same frequency and you want to differentiate, so it's only going to your specific device. Like, let's say you have several streets that run parallel to each other, and they all end up at the same spot in the center of town. And let's say that spot's like the entrance to the subway. So each color code is going to be a different traffic lane, essentially, that your hotspot's going to listen for. And if your radio is on the same color code as the hotspot, and your DMR ID matches what's programmed in the hotspot, then it'll automatically take and receive from your radio. But if the color code's different, it won't allow it to key the hotspot.
Okay, we hear a lot about BER rates and dropouts. Can you explain how that all works?
The DMR ID that it's seeing, as well as your bit error rate. And if you're seeing a lot of static, or hearing a lot of static, or broken audio, the first thing you should always check is your internet connection, followed by your bit error rate. If your bit error rate is high, that could indicate a issue with either the radio or the hotspot itself. If your internet connection is solid.
Okay.
If it's over 3%, anything below 3% is considered within spec. Anything over 3% can cause dropouts, because the radio is trying to send the data to the device, and the device is only picking up bits and pieces.
Now, what about operating my Skybridge on the road or on vacation? Like the open spot, I can actually use my phone as a hotspot to the open spot and get on.
And that is something you can actually do with your Skybridge too. You can set up the Wi-Fi hotspot on your phone, and then program that into your Skybridge, so you can actually take your Skybridge with you in the car or camping or wherever you've got cell service to connect it to the internet so you can get on DMR.
All right, guys, this has gone on long enough for today. So I've now decided we're going to do a part 3. And because there's so much more in this hotspot that I want to explain, and we'll hear a little bit more from Jeremiah. If you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do hit that subscribe button. The bell notification right next to it. Share this video, because YouTube sure is not. And I'd like to get this out to more and more people who might be interested getting into digital radio, getting in a little bit cheaper maybe, or getting in on DMR specifically. Oh yeah, you know what? Consider supporting me with a membership, channel membership over here. Please watch this and other videos that I'm doing over on Rumble. Saturday mornings, doing the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. Just doing a ton of stuff. It isn't all just ham radio, but it's all good fun. Anyway, my friends, I will catch you on the next one. I'm Bob, K6UDA. I'm out of here. 7-3.